I suddenly knew that who these people were, and these people were the people who had died on 9/11 in the Twin Towers. And I'm just shocked because I'm staring at these people who had died. Now, this is 2017. This is, many years later from the event itself. But for some reason, I was being shown these people basically, transitioning into a tunnel of light who had died.
We're just gonna do this like I normally do on TikTok, and basically say, what was your belief in the afterlife prior to any experience at all?
So, when it came to the afterlife or God or anything like that, I grew up with parents who did not go to church, so they did not indoctrinate me in any kind of religion. So I basically grew up, and before my experience, I was basically, I could say I was agnostic. So I was not atheist. Agnosticism is where you're just kind of undecided. You're on the fence about God or if he exists or not. Um, I didn't really have any beliefs in the afterlife. I was skeptical of it as well. And even though I've heard other near-death experience stories, even though they were very inspiring, um, for me it was more like I need to experience this for myself. To really believe it. So I didn't have much of a belief system. It was really just agnosticism was my major belief, and I was terrified of death, and of course I was terrified of dying as well. So that was a big fear of mine. But yeah, I grew up basically agnostic and just told to believe in God, and that's it. Can't hear you. I'm sorry.
Oh, I was muted. Can you? Yeah, let's get into how it happened. What transpired um to get you to die?
Yeah, so about 9 months prior to my near-death experience, I started experiencing a lot of pain in my upper abdominal region, and I didn't know what that was. So there were several trips to the emergency room, to the hospital that I had made before my near-death experience, and I kept being misdiagnosed. No one really knew what was wrong with me. They were running a bunch of tests on me, and they couldn't decide what was wrong. They did end up deciding to schedule me for an endoscopy. It's where they put a camera down your throat to look to see if there's ulcers or if there's any tumors or anything like that growing in your esophagus or your abdominal region. That however was scheduled for several months out, so I had to sit there with the pain and while waiting. So anyway, so what led to my near-death experience? Basically, I could not wait any longer before I was able to even get to my appointment to have that scheduled or to have that procedure done. Um, I one morning actually it was Christmas morning, very early, around 1 o'clock. I woke up and I was in extreme pain. The pain wouldn't go away, so I ended up going to the emergency room, and that's where they ended up finding out that my gallbladder was infected. I had gallstones, and then my gallbladder was also leaking pus. So I was starting to become septic in my system. So they had to wheel me in right away to have the surgery done to just have my gallbladder removed.
So what what happened the moment?
So I go in there and I lay down and they put me on the bed, on the surgical bed, and they basically tie me down. It's like the bed is shaped like a cross. It's not shaped like a regular bed, so I was really surprised by that. So it actually made me more scared because I was already terrified that here I'm about to go into a surgery and I'm terrified of dying, under surgery, or I'm just terrified of all of it. So they leave me on this bed. They put a mask over me. They hooked me up to the anesthesia. And before I knew it, I was told to count down from 10 to 1. By the time I got to 8, I just passed out. And suddenly, right when I passed out, I woke up again, and this time I was in just complete darkness. I couldn't feel anything. I couldn't feel what they were doing to me. It wasn't like that. It was more like it was consciousness. I was just awake. I wasn't scared, but I was just surrounded by this darkness, basically. Um, and then it was maybe within seconds, while I'm surrounded in this darkness, I see a pinpoint of light, and the light started growing, and it was getting larger and larger as it um, drew closer to me. And once the light got close enough to me, I could see it was growing into this large round tunnel of light, just swirling beautiful white light. And the tunnel just came up to me and it rested right there, right in front of me. And it was this large tunnel. It was a huge tunnel, but probably about 20 feet up high. It was just huge, and this massive tunnel. And let me know if you need to stop me or anything, um, for any questions. But as I saw this tunnel of light, I then noticed that there was a bunch of people. A lot of people. I didn't know who they were at first, but there were a bunch of people, just hundreds of people, and they were actually walking very, very fast towards this tunnel of light. They were walking past me. I'm just watching, and they're walking past me, and they're at very fast pace. They're not running, but they're walking past me into this light. And suddenly, I just had this knowing. I just knew who these people were. So they were some of them were dressed up in firefighter clothes, so they were in their uniforms. Others were dressed up in office attire, so it was clear that they had been working in an office. There were some people that were wearing street clothes. So these were people of all these different occupations, all these different races. There were just hundreds of them, and they were walking at a fast pace. So I basically found out, and it was an intuitive knowing. And I no one told me. It was like a verbal knowing. It just came to me. I just knew who they were. Um, and as tragic as what they went through, I can't imagine the trauma that they had gone through, to get to their deaths. But I realized that these people, even though they had gone through so much trauma, unbearable trauma, they were at peace, and they were very eager to get into the light, and they weren't hurting and they weren't suffering. Um, and I have a very special connection to 9/11. I was actually traveling that day. I was actually up in the air in an airplane, in a passenger airplane when the two planes hit the towers. So I was traveling that day, and I feel like I had a close call. I could have had a close brush with death as well that day, but I didn't. I was very lucky. I ended up being stranded that day for about 5 days in Seattle when that happened. So anyway, they showed me this, and then suddenly I realized I wasn't by myself. I noticed that there were these light beings around me, these beings of light. And keep in mind, I had never heard of light beings before, never seen them, I never even Googled them, so I had no idea that they existed. Didn't know who they were, but I knew exactly that, who they were, that they were light beings. And there were three of them around me. So there was one on my right, one on my left, and one behind me. And they didn't talk to me, but they were very beautiful. They didn't look like humans. They weren't shaped like that. They were shaped more like in the shape of a cross, kind of like more like you can say a stick figure, more like in that shape. um, they were geometrically shaped, so very geometrical. They had these solid black cores, and they emanated this beautiful bright white light all around them. So they were very animated, and they didn't move like people, like we move like this, but they were moving like very like this, like very animated, and they were just beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. And again, I had never heard of them, but I just knew that they were light beings. And anyway, so what happened was after these people transitioned into the tunnel of light, then I started floating through the tunnel of light. I was actually going through the light myself, and that was such a beautiful experience because as I started transitioning through the tunnel of light myself, I already knew that I was dead. I knew that I'm out of my body. I'm consciousness. This is more real than real life itself. So everything is more real. The colors are more real. The even what I'm looking at is more real. Everything is just very, very real. And I'm very much aware of, that I'm Josh. I'm still Josh, but I'm just not my body anymore. I'm dead. I've died. I don't know why. I don't know where I'm going, but I'm going through this tunnel of light. As I started going through this tunnel of light, I see Earth. I see all the landscapes below me. I see these just gorgeous, gorgeous, beautiful flowers, wildflowers. I see mountains. I see valleys. I see the sun. It looks like the color was like a real early morning color. The sunrise was just absolutely beautiful. And again, the colors are so much more real. Here they're very diluted, very like fuzzy, but I was just amazed at how bright and how deep and how rich and these colors were. And as I was beholding all these this breathtaking, beautiful earth. Then suddenly I'm sucked through the light farther, but this time I'm sucked through it like at a speed faster than what felt like faster than light. It was just the fastest speed that I've ever gone before. and I wasn't afraid of the speed, even though I could feel it in my stomach. It's like when you go on a roller coaster and you go all the way up, and then when you start going down, you feel that you feel that whatever, yeah, that feeling that you get in the pit of your stomach, and that's what I felt like. But I wasn't scared. I was just like just just held it back, like wow, like I was almost like breathless because I'm going so fast. So I started going really fast. I'm stuck through the light, and before I knew it, basically flying through the universe. I'm flying through clusters of galaxies, and every time I would go through each cluster, it would just explode with this beautiful light. It looked like firecrackers, exploding, just these beautiful colors. And I'm basically, it's almost like I'm getting a tour of the universe. I'm just flying through the universe really fast. And the whole time I'm just amazed at what I'm experiencing. And then suddenly, I get to a point where I'm in this room, and it's not a real room. It's like the best way I can describe it is it's a room. There's no walls, but it's just all fuzzy all around us. So it's almost like I'm just existing somewhere. I just am. I'm just there. I'm somewhere, and I'm here with these light beings. They're surrounding me as well. Again, so I'm in this room surrounded by the light beings, and one of them, one of them asked me they tell me it's telepathic. It's not verbal, but they said it's almost your time to go. You need to go back, but you're allowed to ask us one question before you go back. So of course there's a million questions that I could ask, but the question that I really wanted to ask that I've always had in my mind is what is the meaning of life? What's the point of all this? What's the purpose? And then that's when the light being one of them reaches out, they touch my shoulder. And when they touch my shoulder, I start becoming aware again I'm starting to get back in my body again. But as I'm doing that, they touch me, and suddenly I'm just my whole body is like feels like it's being electrocuted. Like there's this whole massive massive amount of energy just going through me. I'm just being like zzz, like buzzed, and I feel this whole vibration, like it's like a vibration sound that I can feel in my head is super loud, and I'm just vibrating with electricity. And that part was the most beautiful experience of all, because when I was touched by the beings of light, they um they basically I experienced what the only way I can say it is God consciousness, where you know everything. It's almost like omniscience. Some people some people ascribe God as being omniscient, which means all knowing. They'll also say stuff like he's all powerful. I think omnipotent. So, but omniscience, that was the best way I can describe it. And I just understood the meaning of life. I understood why everything happens. I understood that everything, there's no such thing as a coincidence. I understood the purpose behind all that. The only thing that I was not allowed to bring back with me was that experience. I had the memory of it, but I was not allowed to come back and to operate in that high level of intelligence, because obviously we're human beings. So if we're back in the flesh, we couldn't operate under that amount of knowledge, because then there would be no point in living life, because we have to the point of being here on earth is to experience challenges and frustrations and stressful times, right? That's what makes us grow and evolve spiritually. So if I obviously came back and I was allowed to have that omniscience with me, I wouldn't be able to function as a human being. So I wasn't able to bring that back with me. But um, yeah, so that was then I came back to my body, and then I woke up. I was in the recovery room, and that's when I had once I woke up, I never told anyone about it, because I was just in such shock, that I had where I had just been, and I didn't. I even to this day I still struggle to tell my story, because I'm always afraid people are going to believe me, because there are people who don't believe you, and there's people who meet you with skepticism. But had someone told me, for example, if light beings existed, or has someone told me before this experience that light beings exist, I would have been skeptical and said, yeah, right, I doubt it. They're just probably some part of someone's imagination, right? But now that I've seen them, I do realize now that we're not alone. There are entities that exist beside us that share the same space with us. So I do know that. But yeah, it was an incredible experience. After that experience, my fear of death is gone. I'm not afraid to die. Of course, I'm afraid of the method of how I'm going to die. Of course, that's a fear of mine. But as far as dying is concerned, I'm not afraid of it. I'm totally excited to die. I can't wait. not promoting it, to anyone, but I'm just very, very not afraid of it. I also I've seen spirits my whole life. So before this experience, I had seen ghosts throughout my life, in my childhood and throughout my life. Not all the time, but it's not something that I'm not used to. But after my experience, I've actually started seeing them even more. Just an increase in seeing just like flashes of them, when I'm awake and when I'm just going about my business. And again, I'm not a psychic medium, so I can't control when it happens. It just happens on its own will, basically.
Um, Going back to that uh tunnel of light, that pinprick of light everyone talks about. Some people talk about how they don't know whether they got closer to it or it got closer to them. Do you agree, or do you had a sense of getting closer or opposite?
Actually had a sense that it was getting closer to me, the tunnel of light. It was growing towards me. I never sensed that I was moving. I was just standing there. I was in one spot and the tunnel of light was coming towards me. That's how I sensed it.
In that moment, did you know who you were?
Yes, yeah, I was Josh. The whole time I knew I was Josh, and I knew that I was supposed to be on a hospital bed having surgery, but I also knew that I was there. So I always knew who I was. I had my same personality. Everything was intact.
At any point, did you have an out of body experience? Did you see yourself?
I did not. I didn't. So I never saw myself, but I could tell that the best way I can describe it was, even though I didn't see myself actually float upward. Um, the best way I can describe it is that I was just consciousness, like I was just there. I was just, it was just my head, I guess you can say, like, what's up here, what makes us think, It was just that, and I didn't have any sense of being in a body, but
Your
I never
speck
actually
of
saw it.
awareness.
A speck of awareness, yes, that's the best way to describe it. I love that.
Um, three light beings. Do you have any idea who they may have been?
I don't. Some people, have asked me, where do you think there were angels? I've had people ask me if maybe there were aliens, from outer space. People have asked me if there were what, angels, uh, uh, but no, I just I knew that there were beings of light. That's all I know. I had never, there was no sense that I had met them before in a past life, or I had known them before. It was just like I knew who they were, but they were strangers to me, So I never met them before. If I had, I don't remember, but in the past life, obviously I won't remember that. But yeah, they were beings of light. That's the best way I can describe them. They were they my sense is that they were givers of knowledge, that they occupy the highest spectrum of knowledge, like they know everything. They're like up there with God or with God consciousness. They have that ability to imbue or transfer knowledge to us when we need it. It's almost like a healing knowledge, like almost like very healing, um, in a sense, if I can say it that way.
Have you ever read Journey of Souls?
I have not yet, but I have heard of that, and I believe I might have that on my bookshelf. I have a few books that I have not read, but was that from Dolores? Was this from Dolores Cannon or somebody
No, it's
else?
Michael Newton.
Michael Newton. Okay, I haven't read that yet, but that's one thing I do want to read.
If you got it on your bookshelf, you better get on that.
I will.
Journey of Souls is like my Bible. So I say that because you talked about three beings of light. We hear this
Yeah.
often, whether it's three
So
beings of light, seven beings of light, 15 beings of light. Regardless, it's a group of light, and a lot of people often will like describe them the best way they can as a council, right? A council that's
yeah, yeah.
non-judging. Well, let me go back. Did you at any point a lot of people, about 56% of near-death experiencers have a life review. Their life flashes before their eyes. Did you at all experience any of that?
No, no, I did not. And I don't believe that my experience was meant to give me a life review. I think what their main purpose for me was, because I think everyone's near-death experience is kind of tailored to what they need. It wasn't so much a life review, which I did not have, but they were really, I almost felt like they were basically giving me like not a life review of the past, but they were basically, what's the opposite, like what's going forward? It was almost like,
Flash forward,
yeah, like a flash forward, almost
premonition.
like premonition, yeah, like that in some sense, like that. Like they were. So no life review, but it's so hard to explain. I wish that's a good question. I need to think harder on how to respond to that. But um, it was really just a matter of healing. It was really a matter of um dealing with the here and now and also the future. So it wasn't so much that your past. I didn't feel like I was being judged for anything. If you know, I know a lot of people say that the life review is kind of like a where you judge yourself, but I never had that.
So go back to these three beings and Michael Newton in Journey of Souls. There's a section in there called the Council of Elders. There's a chapter, whole chapter on it, and basically, if nobody knows what Journey of Souls is, it's basically hypnosis therapy, regression therapy to basically in between, right, to heaven, whatever you want to call it. And just like near death experiencers, these people are experiencing the same things. They're recalling the same things, such as beings of light. And these beings of light we see in many life or many near death experiences that these beings of light greet you just as they greeted you. But they also are there when these people are going through life reviews. And the same thing in this regression therapy. This is why I rely on this so heavily because it aligns with near death experiences still. Um, and I think it's a great tool to go look back on and try to figure out why or what any of these experiences are, why it's happening. Anyways, these beings of light seem to show up when we die. Um, and often help us go through our life review, right? They help us understand where we could have done better, or how our actions affected others. Um, and there's always a sense of non-judgment. There's never a judgment. If anything, it's you judging, and even then, it's still not a judgment. It's an understanding. It's a learning, and it's a growth opportunity. These same beings of light, which we're going to label the Council of Elders, just because the book has, show up again when we choose our lives. Uh, because that's another common aspect of near death experiences is knowing we've lived multiple lives and that we choose our lives. That's not the same in every near death experience, but it is a commonality. And so we see that those being of lights, we've met them before apparently because they help us choose our lives and they help us walk through those uh, like checkpoints in our lives, right? We choose our checkpoints. There might be many paths, but all of those paths lead to this next checkpoint to ultimately fulfill whatever we came here to do, to grow on a soul level, according to Journey of Souls. So I definitely check out that book. I mean, I guarantee you'll love it, and you're gonna love it.
Check
Uh,
it out for sure.
how how long do you think? How long were you gone for? For sure. How long were you out?
That's tough to say. I was probably out for about 'cause I know the surgery was about I think it was about an hour and a half to 2 hours that I was out for.
How
Probably
long
about
did
that
it
long.
feel like you were out?
So it felt very fast. It only felt like I mean the whole experience if I had to put it in minutes or like how it felt, it felt to me like um maybe it was only like it really felt to me like maybe it was only like 5 minutes. It was a very fast experience. I mean, it was a very beautiful experience, but it didn't feel like it was that long. It didn't feel like it was 2 hours, like a whole surgery. Like it didn't feel like it was that long.
Did you have a sense of time over there?
No, I didn't. It's like that's not even important. So I never yeah, I never that wasn't even on my mind. It wasn't even part of the whole atmosphere, if that's what I call it. There is no time really. It's just you just are it just is you just are and there's nothing else besides that. I mean, as far as timing is concerned, I don't know if does that kind of make sense or since the time yeah no sense of time.
There's nothing
So
to
yeah,
judge time off of.
exactly yeah,
Um,
exactly.
would you say, what do you think about this? A lot of people talk about their experience all of it happened in at the same time. Everything happened instantly or at the same time as opposed to chronologically like you described it in I don't know, human terms, earthly terms.
Yeah. So for me, it felt chronological. It didn't feel like it was all at once. It was almost like I was because I think I was meant to have it that shown that way. I don't understand why. Um, but yeah, to me it felt more chronological. It wasn't just all at once. That's not how I would describe the experience. I don't know if anyone else has ever had that experience as well, where it just felt more chronological. But I that's how my brain thinks. So I think maybe they were just trying to maybe they tailored it to the experience to to do it in a way that I would grasp because I'm different, I'm kind of weird like that. So maybe that's my guess, is that they did it that way because that's the way I would understand it. But definitely not, there was no sense of all at once. It was no sense of time, but it was, but I know, in a weird way it was chronological, but time had no importance over there. It was just not even, it just wasn't there. It wasn't something you think about.
Did you die or were you in like did you clinically die or was this just
I
happening during surgery?
This happened during surgery. So when I woke up, nobody said to me that there was an issue or that you died. So I don't know. But right now, I'm actually in the process of trying to go back and get and get documentation of the surgery to see if there was something that happened and they didn't tell me. But nobody said a word, and I didn't say a word because I was just too scared to even like say anything about it. One of the reasons why was because many years ago, I had ended up in the hospital for, I had, I was having mental illness problem. I still suffer with depression, but I was hospitalized for depression. And so I was afraid that if I would say anything now, that they would put me back in the hospital and think I'm nuts. So that's why I didn't say anything to anybody. It was just too, I mean, even though it was very healing, like I guess I don't have to say anything to anyone, but I feel like it's part of my obligation of this experience is to share with others, because I feel like there are people out there who need to hear it and who can find comfort in it. So I don't want to keep quiet about it. So it took me almost 10 years to finally start talking about it. And I've been met with a lot of support. So it does help me when people come to me and they on Facebook or LinkedIn or Instagram and say, hey, I heard your story, I believe you. You were very, I was very comforted by that. So to me, those kind of messages really help me, make me feel better, and knowing that it's making a difference for somebody else.
What was the journey back to your body like? Do you remember that at all?
I don't remember it. I just remember after I was endowed with like these electrical currents of knowledge, I just woke up. I opened my eyes and I was in the recovery room. That's how it happened. There was no sense of going back. It was just I just woke up, and there I was back in the recovery room. And that's how it happened.
When you woke up, were you in any kind of pain?
Yes, I was in a lot of pain. I was in a lot of pain. I couldn't walk. I could barely move. It was because I had because my gallbladder was so badly infected and stuff. I think that's why that it was more painful to have, the recovery was a lot more painful. So I was in a lot of pain actually.
And when you came back, you had immediately remembered everything that you had just experienced.
Yes. Yes, I still remember it as, I mean, it's almost been almost 10 years. I still remember everything to this day. I remember all the details. I just remember like it was yesterday, like it happened yesterday or even today. Still remember everything.
What's the first thing you think about when you wake up to to that memory?
Um, it gives me comfort. When I wake up to that, it's something I cherish. I think about it all the time, really, and I don't exaggerate. I do. It's every day I think about that experience. And it just brings me comfort, and it just makes me want to tell the other people. It makes me want to, get the message out to other people, like, hey, especially people who are suffering or who are depressed, because I suffer with depression. I always have, and it really helps to just I just it has helped me with battle my own depression, and it has given me hope that not hope, but just knowing that, when my life is over, I know where I'm going and I know who I'm going to see, and I already know that there's nothing to fear. So every day is, even though I still struggle, don't get me wrong, I still have a lot of my struggles. I still struggle. I still go through my depression, but but it has helped me tremendously. And if anything, I really hope it helps other people. I really do. I really want to make sure that I really want to be of help to other people. That's my biggest thing, is spreading my story, and hopefully I'm saving lives too. That's my number one thing.
Who is the first person? So you wake up. Is this whole experience seamless?
What do you mean by seamless? Like,
I mean, you go into surgery, you close your eyes. Like, is there your eyes closing? Is it you close your eyes and you open your eyes and you're in a different state, and then you close your eyes and you open your eyes and surgery's over?
yes, that's how it was. It was like that. It was just like blinking.
Crazy. Um. So you come back with this memory. Um. Immediately, I'm sure a thousand thoughts are going through your mind. Who's the first person you tell though?
So I didn't tell anybody. I didn't even tell my partner. My partner, I was too. Yeah. So I didn't tell anyone, but I eventually, actually the first person that I told was several months later. We were actually out, we were out eating at a restaurant, and I told this, which is weird. You think I would tell my partner out of all all people, that was someone who's closer to me, but I didn't feel comfortable telling him. So the very first person I told was actually a stranger at this restaurant. She told me, I don't know how we got on the subject. We got on the subject of the paranormal and stuff like that. And then I just casually just let out, yeah, I had a near-death experience. And so I told, she said, well, you can tell me. She said I'm a Christian. She said, I believe in that stuff. So I told her, and then the first thing she asked me was, well, do you do drugs? So I was like, okay, I knew she didn't believe me. So that was kind of a blow. So that was that I actually shut up for a while. I just shut up and just kept it to myself for a while longer. Um, I think the second person I told was a stranger as well. They believed me, and then yeah, so it was just strangers. I didn't tell my partner. Actually, my partner didn't know until recently when he found out that I was writing a book about it. But he also found out that I'm doing these interviews on these podcast interviews, and so I think he took an interest in it, and then he started watching. So now he knows. So and he believes me, and he's been really supportive. But yeah, it was just strangers. I felt more comfortable telling a stranger for some reason than I did telling my own family members. I think it's just because
Gonna
I
see him
figured,
again.
yeah, exactly, yeah, and there's that rejection. You fear that rejection. So even though the rejection stung, it did sting to have someone say, are you on drugs or do you do drugs? That stung, but um, what's important to me now is that people don't have to. They can believe it or not believe it, but it's my story. It happened to me. It's true, and I at the end of the day, I'm the one that had that experience, and so I still have the healing effects from it. So they can believe me or not, but regardless, I do hope people believe me because I really want them to find healing in it. But yeah, it was so much easier to tell strangers than it was to tell my own family members.
Something personal. Because it's a statistic, and it's important to know these statistics. Um, you said ex-partner. How long? How? Here's the stat: is 80% of near-death experiencers who come back get a divorce or split. Do you think? We don't have to go into any other detail, but do you think that your experience may have caused that split?
Yeah,
I don't know how to ask
yes.
this
Uh,
politely.
no, no, I totally understand. I appreciate that. Yes. So the reason why, and it's also caused a rift in just relationships in the family in general. The reason why is because once you have I'll speak for myself. I don't want to say once you, meaning everybody, but once I had my near-death experience, it put me on this like weird. I don't want to sound. How do I sound? It puts you on a different level. I don't mean that like meaning you're better than someone else who hasn't had one. That's not even what I mean. But what I mean is that you had this, you've been to the other side. It's not a matter of belief because belief is where you doubt. People say I believe in this or that. There's still doubt there, but this is like you just know, like you just know that it's there, like that this whole new place exists that you can't see. So um, it has affected my relationships, also with friends because I've had this experience. I see things differently. So I don't I almost feel like I'm on the outside now, like looking in, and I'm almost like I kind of feel lonely because I almost feel excluded, even though if I'm around people socializing. I've had this experience and it just puts you up a little bit up here and they're down here. But again, I don't mean like that you're better than them, but like you're just, it's a weird, it's almost like once you have a shift in consciousness, which was an upward shift in consciousness and you're hanging out with friends and family members who haven't had that experience, um, it causes some sort of rift, but I have a hard time explaining how that works. I'm so sorry. It's hard to explain though why. It's just the
Makes total
experience.
sense. Total sense to me from somebody who has not had an experience by listening to other people's testimonies. Like I get it. Um, you've experienced something, which means there's a knowing there, which means you have a better understanding than any of us who have not experienced a taste of what is possible beyond what we can see with our eyes, ears, mouth, taste, smell. 100%. So relationships as a whole, it would make sense because you are now viewing life differently than someone who is just blindly walking what one would call the matrix or whatever. They're literally asleep, right? You got a glimpse, right? And so
Hmm.
it's no longer a faith, it's no longer believing, it's a knowing. And I like how you put it. You basically you're looking at it from you're looking at it from a different view. You're looking down. I don't want to say same for you. I don't want to say like you're above anybody, but you are able to see something from a different perspective. With that said, um, does it make it easier to deal with hard people?
No, you mean hard people as far as like any skeptics or
Just in general, there's some hard people out there to like either love or, there's some disrespectful people out there. People are hard to deal with.
so the one thing that I want people, I think people need to know is that, even when you have a near death experience, you still have a life to live. So once you come back to your body and even though you've been reset, you've had a shift in consciousness. So you're on a different level in a way, in a non-judgmental way towards anyone else, but you're on a different level. Um, but as far as dealing with difficult people, it doesn't make it, I mean, I think it's still hard to deal with difficult people, of course. I'm an empath, so I feel the sting hard really hard. So just being a natural empath, even though in spite of a near death experience, I still have a hard time dealing with difficult people. um but in a way it does kind of make it easier a little bit because I had that knowledge in the back of my head knowing, okay, well, I know I still try to be kind and to be nice and not to be rude back or give that back because I almost feel like since I've had this experience, I have more there's more expected from me, as far as like there's it's almost like you have what's the word, there's more expected from you. It's almost like
Empathy.
you're expected, yeah, you're expected to behave better and to be more empathetic because you've had this experience. And so, anyone who has had a near-death experience and who goes out and who treats people like crap, still, that's a problem, because that's not what you're supposed to do. But yeah, it's not anymore. It's still challenging for me to deal with people, and that's just because I'm naturally an empath. So I have a hard time, I'm not afraid of dying, of course, and if they were to hurt me, I already know that I know that if they hurt me, um, that I know that there's a higher dimension there that's going to take me in, so I'm not afraid of that. I'm just, but yeah, it's still difficult to deal with people like that, to deal with difficult people.
Somebody in the chat said it's I find it harder to have small conversations because I want to have authenticity and deep conversations. Do you find that to be the same for you?
Yeah, yeah, I do find, yeah, exactly, yeah, I do find it the same. Yeah.
Um, are you if you were to pick religion that close fit?
You mean close fit to my experience?
Yeah.
Uh, that's a really good question. Um, so the I would have to say, and I'm not, I don't mean this in an offensive way towards any other religion, but if I had to pick that the ones that are closest to the truth, or I hate to say that word truth because the ones that are closest to how I experience things would be the Eastern religions, the ones that teach in like Buddhism or Hinduism, where they teach that we we continue to live multiple lives. I think though the Eastern one, and they've been around, the Eastern religions, they've been around much longer than the monotheistic religions like Christianity and Islam and Judaism. They're still very immature religions compared to these religions that have been around for like a long time. So I would have to say the Eastern philosophy, Eastern religions are closer. I'm not saying that they're true. I'm not saying that Christianity isn't true either. For example, but I'm just saying that the closest would be if I had to pick would be the Eastern philosophies of reincarnation, of karma, if you want to say it that way. So I would say that.
So I saw a comment on one of your podcasts, and I want to address it because I didn't feel the same way, and I understand, and I don't wear a cross. Um, but the comment was something along the lines is that you're not Christian. Why do you wear a cross? What is that cross? What does that necklace mean to you?
So actually, this represents to me, it represents the beings of light, because they were shaped in that. They were shaped like a cross. They were shaped, but they also emanated light, and they were very beautiful. But they were shaped like this. So, of course, I don't believe in Christianity, and again, I don't mean that disrespectfully. I had a couple of years of back when I was 19, 20, no, sorry, 17. I was baptized. I chose to go find a church. I was in there for a couple years. It was a very deeply Pentecostal. It was a Pentecostal church, and it was very what is it? They're very strict with everything. I wasn't even allowed to wear a cross. Actually, this was considered idolatry. That's how strict they were. But yeah, the cross to me represents the light beings. And also, I think it's important too that for Christianity, especially for Christians to know that the cross didn't originate with Christianity. It was already around before Christianity started. So it was just a symbol that Christianity adopted. But yes, I wear the cross because to me it doesn't represent Jesus, as I know it represents that to a lot of people. I'm not opposed to Jesus, but it represents my own faith in the light beings and how they appeared. If that makes any sense.
I love that. I love that. Um, are you going to the Ions conference?
I don't know. So for me, money's kind of an issue. So I don't know where it's located, but I've never been to one, but I would love to
It's
go
in
to one
Seattle.
actually. Where was it at?
Seattle.
Oh, okay, yeah. I would love to go. The only thing that's keeping me back is it's just finances. I just don't have the money to do it right now, but I would love to go to one. I think eventually I'll definitely go to one of these days. Have you ever been to one?
No,
I'm
I'll
just
be
curious.
there for the first time this year.
Okay,
Thankful to my community who helped fund that. We hit 100% of those funds like 2 days ago.
good, 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 good.
Crazy. I agree. I can't afford to fly out there, stay there, and afford a ticket. It would have been possible without the community. So, shout out to the
That's a good
community
job.
because
Yeah, shout out.
it's literally impossible without you.
Yeah, and I hope
Um,
you have a really good time there too. I really do.
Me too. I think next year I'll be there as like a podcaster, hopefully. Um, and let's talk about your book. Your book has it came out yet, or it is coming out really soon?
It's So no, it's coming out in a couple days. So I'm waiting for I have to get the physical copy in the mail, which should be here either today or tomorrow. Once I get that copy, I'll be able to tell my publisher to go ahead and start publishing. So within a couple of days. It's called Between Breaths. It's a recount of my near-death experience. I decided to write a book because I'm not the most articulate person when it comes to speaking. So in my mind I was thinking, well, maybe I should write this down as well, so that way people, if they get annoyed by listening to me, they can actually read it in a book. So that's really why I wrote it. But yeah, Between Breaths, it'll be here. It'll be available in the next couple of days. So it'll be able to be published, and then I think on Amazon, it'll be on Amazon in about a week. So it's gonna be there. So if anyone's interested, they can read it. But again, I wrote it just because I wanted to make sure that if anyone's too if they get too if they get too annoyed by my speaking the way I speak, they can actually read it. That they can read it. So I figured that was that'd be exciting for them, you know.
I have a children's book, but it's about 25 pages. Would you be open to trading books?
Oh, yes, of course, yeah. I'm definitely open to that. Yeah.
Normally I'll try to send one of my books to all my guests.
Yes, I would love
And
to.
but we've traded sometimes, and if you got a book, I'd love to put it back there and then
Okay.
promote it on our live streams and stuff too. Once I
Thank you
read
so
it.
much.
Yeah,
Thank you.
uh we're on Messenger. We'll chat about it there. You just let me know when it's ready or whatever, and
Yes.
I mean I'll go ahead once I what's today? I'll have more copies in 3 days, and I'll send one your way as soon as I can, as soon as I get them.
Yeah,
Uh,
can't wait.
Also, did do you know that IANS has a library at the conference?
No, I didn't know that.
Probably be something to look into to put your book in there
Yeah.
for. It might be late
Oh, they have a
now. I'm not sure, but
oh,
in the future.
I okay, yeah, I didn't know that. So good to know.
Yeah, I haven't put my book in there yet, but I'm working towards understanding how all of that works. So you're
Yeah. I
you know as much as I do.
okay.
Um, I want to take this time to ask chat that if chat has any questions. We're currently
Okay.
live on TikTok Live. We've got 76 people in here. Um, chat has any questions? I'll ask this question first. Um, I know there's a question I want to ask, but I've forgotten. What do you think the purpose of life is?
So the purpose, really the purpose, if I had to say it, it might sound cliche, but it's not about accumulating wealth or materials or it's not about any of that. What it's really about is the meaning of life or the purpose of life is really to go through tough experiences, so we can grow and evolve and expand our consciousness. But also, it's also how we treat each other too. That's really what matters. So, when you're on your deathbed and you're at the very end, all that matters is your relationships and how you treated people and how they treated you. So that's really what it is. But I also believe that the things of life that I believe that they also want us. It's part of the goal. Their goal is to have us all expand our consciousness and to become more aware, more spiritually evolved, which we're not quite there yet. But part of our purpose is to spiritually evolve and to become more aware, and to become more aware then, and to become more aware of the afterlife or the other dimensions that exist around us, if that makes any sense. So there's kind of a lot of reasons. I know it's kind of hard to explain, um, but it's definitely not. It has nothing to do with podcasts or money or cars or your spouse. It has nothing to do with any of that. Am I making any sense or
100%. For you are for me. I say it all the
okay,
time.
okay,
It's not about promotions. It's not about, like you said, partners. It's about what you do within the partnership,
yes,
but it's not about cars. It's not about jobs. It's not about any of that. It's literally about interactions, and through interaction
hmm
is growth, and that growth is
yes,
for a soul level, not a human level. This isn't about being human. It's not about being an animal or a plant. It's about this life and the interactions between each other. Every interaction is either a growth or I guess not growth, right?
hmm
And you do that by simply loving. I'll
yes,
answer my own question. I think the purpose of life is to love because we are love. We come from love, and we'll go back to love. And the only way to go back to love is to become unconditional love through interactions between one another. That's
yes,
the reason it feels so good because you are love. And so when a body, your physical body, human body is healthy, it feels good. When it's not healthy, it doesn't feel too good. So that's the same thing for love and fear, right? When you love, it feels great because that's what you truly are. And when you're living in fear, that doesn't feel good because that is not what you are. And so the more you love, the more you grow on a soul level outside of this body. because you're not just this body, you're actually just the speck of awareness, the speck
Yes.
of love. So the purpose of life for me is exactly what you said, is soul growth. I'm here living this life for a purpose outside of what I can comprehend right now.
Yes. And even this interaction between me and you, that wasn't accidental. It's on purpose. It's not a coincidence that me and you are actually talking right now. There's a purpose behind that, and we're exchanging energies, so there's a huge purpose behind that.
Well,
So
it's
yeah.
not I agree. It's not accidental because I've seen your podcast twice. And then we are a part of a Facebook group and you had commented on um a a post, and I didn't know you were on Facebook, but I was like, "Oh, that's that dude," because on my way to the float trip when I was listening to your episode on the road, I was like, this is interesting. I'd like to reach out to him. And but I never did, right? And then I saw you on Heather, and I never did. Or maybe I did. I don't think I don't remember. But I know I wanted to reach out to you after the first one. And then not knowing your name, not knowing who you were, I mean technically, saw you comment on some post with a bunch of comments on it or whatever, and I was like, here he is. Here's your opportunity. He's on Facebook, which means his messenger's open, so I'm gonna message him. And it worked
Wow.
out great.
Wow, that's a good. That's a really awesome
So
story
d-
too.
divine timing.
Yes, yes. Divine timing.
Um question is, the 9/11 figures you saw, were they solid figures like humans or were they non-opaque?
They were solid. They were just as real as you are to me right now. They were very solid. Yeah, it wasn't. I don't understand how it all worked out. I don't get understand that aspect, but yeah, but as far as how they looked, they were very solid. There were people. They were right there. I could feel it, like as they were walking past me at a fast pace. I could feel that, when someone walks past you and you can feel the air, a little bit of air come to you. I could feel that air. Like I could feel it. It was so weird. That's how real it was.
What do you think they were? 9/11 souls.
They were the people who died. I just knew. At first I didn't know, and then it just hit me. So they were the people who had died in the Twin Towers. I was actually witnessing their transition. The light things were showing me their transition from basically their transition, not their deaths, but their what happened after they died, which is transitioning into the light. That's what they showed me.
Why do you think that was shown to you?
At first I didn't understand it, but I believe they showed me that because, I was, uh, back on the actual day of 9/11 when it happened. I was traveling that day. I was in a plane. I was actually airborne when the two planes hit the towers. So I think they showed me that just to I think the main reason why they showed me that was because they wanted me to tell the rest of the world. They knew that I was going to eventually one day start speaking about my near-death experience, and I believe strongly that um they showed me this so I can tell others, people who actually knew people who died in the Twin Towers. I believe it would bring them comfort to know that that their transition was very peaceful. So I think they told me I think they showed me for that reason, so I can tell others. I think Heather, when I was on Heather's podcast, I think it was her. She had mentioned, don't quote me, but it was her, another one, but one of them had mentioned that they actually knew someone who died in the Twin Towers. So it was very interesting that here I am connecting with a podcaster who actually knew someone who died in the Twin Towers, and the Twin Towers are part of my story, the 9/11. They're part of my near death experience. So I thought that was very fascinating that I actually ran into someone who actually knew somebody.
Someone says, I think you articulate well.
Oh, thank you so much. I
And I
appreciate
and I
that.
agree. I said that when we were hyping up this podcast a couple days ago and throughout. Um,
Thank you.
what is the Facebook page? Facebook page is called Near. I think it was on Near Death Experience Facebook group,
Yes,
which is
yes,
the
yes.
largest near death experience group on Facebook. It's got almost 500,000. It's got like a little over a 250,000 followers in there. It's ran by Ned. Mantanias, who we is my second podcast. You can go
Yeah.
check that out. Ned, I don't know if you know Ned, but I might split a room with Ned at the IANS conference. If he does decide to
Oh,
go, I'm splitting a room with him. That
okay.
way we can make it.
Okay.
That's another thing is keep in mind like splitting a room is gonna help because that's the majority of my funds for this whole trip is a freaking room for those
Oh,
four
yeah, yeah.
days.
Yeah.
Um, so splitting a room is a good idea, and getting the conference rate is a better idea.
Yeah,
But
exactly.
Ned's a cool guy, and he runs a very nice Facebook group over there, very educational.
Wow.
Um,
So,
so I guess that's all those questions. Um, what is your definition of God?
I don't know. So what's interesting is that I never saw God in my near death. I know a lot of people describe the light as God, but I don't know. So, but right now, um, I'm agnostic when it comes to God. But if I had to describe God, to me, God is the spark that started everything. So there was the Big Bang. There was a spark that started. So basically, to me, God is a creator. I don't know but besides that, after that, God created the world, he created all, he was a spark that created everything, including us. Um, but that's as far as I know. So I can't tell you who God is because I really don't know. I just think he's a spark, but I don't know if I don't know if he's us, if God is everything, or if God is separate from it, or if God, I just don't know. I never saw him in my experience. So and I'm not gonna make it up and say, oh, I saw God because I didn't. I'm just telling the truth. But yeah, God is the spark that started everything. But besides that, I don't know what I don't know what else he is. I'm sorry, I'm just being I'm being too honest. You know,
Because you should. If you didn't see him, you didn't see him.
I didn't see
But
God.
everybody, I was gonna say everybody has their own definition, and sometimes the word God puts someone's own definition in their own head. So I think it's important when we
Yeah,
talk about what we mean by God.
yeah, yeah. So I don't know, and I'm sorry to the people who are watching if they wanted to hear that. I really don't know what God is, but I just believe He's the spark that started everything. So He's the creator, but I don't know if he's actively involved with us. I do know that there's dimensions that we can't see, and I do know that there's light beings and that there's spirits and ghosts, but I don't know where God fits into all that.
If you had one last message for the world, what would it be?
So my biggest message, it might sound little, but my biggest message is that I'm part of the LGBTQ community, and when I had my near death experience, it made me realize that even though I'm gay, that I'm still accepted into the other side or to the afterlife. I still had acceptance. I was never judged for it. So my message really is to everyone out there who's different or who's queer, just know that you're not gonna be judged when it comes to the other side. They're not gonna judge you. You're absolutely loved, and you're here to experience life and all of its expressions. And also, I would say to everyone not to be afraid of dying. It's a beautiful experience. I'm not saying go jump off a bridge, but what I'm saying is that life is definitely a beautiful experience, and there's more to it than just what we can see.
Beautiful. All right, buddy. I appreciate you coming up here and sharing with me. I hope to see you at a conference one day, and I hope to see you on TikTok more. Like I said, I think TikTok's a good place for you to sell your book, or promote your book, or put it on book TikTok shop, or to con- uh, connect with other near-death experiencers. If you, um, there's a lot of other people in my chat right now who have all resonated with what you
Yeah,
said because they've been to the other side also. Especially
glad to
with
hear that.
talking about the conversations with people and coming back and viewing it from a different the this community understands. And so you're always welcome. And hopefully you can come share your story with different people. There's always new people in the chat, and sometimes there's uh, a lot of people in the chat. So once you get that down, utilize it, dude. You'll love it.
Oh, thank you so much. And I can't thank you enough for having me on and to share my story. And I really hope that it's touched at least one person. It's made a difference. I hope so.
Yeah, chat's going wild. They all say thank you. They love you. I love you, and I appreciate you. Thank you guys for joining us today. please hit that subscribe button if you haven't. Share out this video to whoever it resonates with. And if you're not on TikTok yet, please come and join us on our TikTok live streams. It's a great place to hear near death experiences every day. These are ordinary people with extraordinary experiences, and you never know what's coming up next. So I encourage you to come join our community over there. It's a very loving place, and we'd love to have you. Also, if you want to teach your children the values of near death experiences, you can check out The Light You Are on Amazon. I'll leave a link in the description. Um, Make sure you love yourself so you can love others, because when we love others, they can love themselves. And just in case no one's told you today, I love you.